during Abdu'l-Bahá's stay in New Hampshire, he was invited to attend a lunch at the home of one of the Baha'is, and the hostess had invited a very small group of about 20 people, and this was a group of very highly educated academics, writers, politicians, and intellectuals of various kinds. And it was assumed that Abdu'l-Bahá was going to give a lecture about the Baha'i faith. And leading up to the lunch, the hostess was getting quite anxious about what Abdu'l-Bahá was actually going to talk about, and she was making all sorts of suggestions to him about what kinds of topics would be suitable for this particular group of people. And when all the guests arrived and they were seated at the lunch table, the hostess stood up and made a very formal introduction to Abdu'l-Bahá, expecting that he was going to start a speech for them. And all the guests sat up very straight, trying to be as respectful as possible, but perhaps a little bit apprehensive about what exactly Abdu'l-Bahá was going to talk to them about. But to everyone's surprise, Abdu'l-Bahá didn't launch into a lecture about the Baha'i faith. In fact, he didn't mention the Baha'i faith at all. He very informally greeted everybody, and he began to tell a funny story that came to his mind. And one funny story led to another funny story, and then to another. And very soon, Abdu'l-Bahá was actually drawing out of the other guests funny stories of their own. And within a few minutes, the whole table was roaring with laughter, and Abdu'l-Bahá had totally broken the ice amidst this group of people who perhaps had arrived at the meeting feeling a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit stiff and apprehensive about what this leader of a new religion was going to talk to them about. And amidst this whole table in knots of laughter, Abdu'l-Bahá said how good, how important it is to laugh. And he began to tell them another story about when he was in prison, and how he and his family and his companions, while they were living in the direst deprivation, they made a special agreement with each other that at the end of each day they would get together and they would share with each other the funniest thing that had happened that day. And considering the conditions of prison life, he said that often it was very difficult for them to even think of just one thing that could be considered as funny. But with a little bit of practice, they always managed to think of one thing that day that they could look back at and laugh about. And he said that sometimes, amidst the miserable conditions of prison life, he said sometimes they would all be so consumed with laughter at the end of the day that the tears would be rolling down their cheeks. And just in hearing Abdu'l-Bahá tell this story, all those guests at the lunch found themselves with tears rolling down their cheeks. And Abdu'l-Bahá's hostess realized that this group of highly educated academics and intellectuals had been more deeply touched simply by Abdu'l-Bahá's laughter than by any profound philosophical discourse that they might have been expecting him to give. Hi there, I'm doing these short videos throughout 2021 in honor of the centenary of the passing of Abdu'l-Bahá, whose writings are the basis of my new album, Home of Light, which is coming out one song at a time throughout the year. All these short stories come from this book, Vignettes from the Life of Abdu'l-Bahá, by Annamarie Honnold, and I hope these little anecdotes give us some glimpses into Abdu'l-Bahá's life during this special year. Also, if you'd like a copy of the album, since Home of Light has been made through the support of so many friends around the world, I've decided to give it away as a gift on behalf of everybody who helped to make it. So if you'd like to receive the album, you can sign up at my website, lukeslott.com. It's linked in the description below. And in November, prior to the centenary itself, you'll receive the album as a gift in celebration of Abdu'l-Bahá's life. So I appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and if you'd like to hear the story behind the album, you can check out my podcast, A Story of Light, also linked in the description below.